Hey guys, this is Leeza, and today I wanted to talk about jealousy because I have received so many messages from you guys requesting that I make a video on this topic. So today I'm going to talk about jealousy. So to start with, I think it's helpful to ask the question, what is jealousy? And I think it's typically a combination of two emotions, fear and resentment, rooted in insecurity that we typically feel in response to situations that we can't control. For example, you might feel jealous if a partner reconnects with an ex because you fear that you might lose them or that they might cheat on you. Or you might feel jealous of a colleague that gets a promotion when you don't because you resent their success or you think they don't deserve what they got because you should have gotten it. So you see what I'm talking about with fear and resentment being key components of how we experience jealousy. Now, while feeling jealous can make you seem really small and petty and insecure, it's a perfectly normal emotion. We all experience jealousy, and feeling jealous isn't so much the problem. It's how you deal with that feeling or how you choose to act on that feeling that really matters. It's perfectly okay and normal to feel jealous, but what most people forget is that there's no compulsion to act on those feelings of jealousy. You have the choice not to act on what are normally quite irrational and negative feelings. You have the choice instead to just acknowledge those feelings and deal with them instead of going up in flames. It's worth keeping in mind that just like any other form of heightened stress, jealousy can provoke you to act in ways that you're going to regret just moments later. It can sort of make you do violent and stupid things that you don't really want to do or wouldn't do if you had your wits about you because of this sort of temporary flash of rage that comes with the experience of the emotion. So it's really important to keep that in mind when you're dealing with jealousy. Keep in mind that it's normal to experience this, but that you can overcome it and that you're going to be better off making decisions once you're outside of that cloud of jealous rage. Also, ask yourself whether your jealousy is based on objective, factual information or whether it's based on assumptions you've made from your subjective reading of a situation. Because human beings can be so narcissistic and short-sighted and sort of just always fearing the worst that sometimes we make things about ourselves when really they don't have anything to do with us. And sometimes we also fill in gaps where actually there's no connection between two situations. So it's important to just remember to be sort of clear and objective in your reading of a situation rather than just automatically jump to conclusions and then react on impulse, because that can just harm you as well as the other people involved. So just to give you an example of what I mean, we might think that just because a friend is spending more time with another person, we are less important to them. You know, it's tempting to think, oh, she's spending so much time with Arya, I'm no longer important to her. Or if a guy you like says another girl is pretty, you might think, oh, he says Nikita's pretty, so he doesn't think I'm pretty. When really, you know, everything isn't about ourselves. And also, it's really helpful to stop attaching our sense of self-worth to how important or unimportant we think we are to other people. So those are just some things to keep in mind when just assessing whether your response to a situation is really matching with what's actually going on. Because often jealousy is quite irrational and quite sort of expanded by our own imagination or perception of a situation than the reality of the situation. Basically, in dealing with jealousy, it's really important that you're completely honest with yourself about what you know, what you don't know, and then those stories that your brain has created to try and fill the gaps. Now, all of that said, jealousy can sometimes be a red flag that something isn't right in a relationship, which is why it's important to acknowledge that you're feeling these feelings of jealousy rather than just bury them. It's definitely worth asking yourself why you feel this way, and if there is a legitimate cause for you to feel this way, definitely address it with your partner. But often our feelings of jealousy have more to do with our own past experiences rather than what's actually happening now. And it's worth getting into those past experiences as well and just digging into why we feel the way we do so that we can overcome those feelings, especially if jealousy is a recurrent response that we have. If you are, repeatedly experiencing jealousy in all your relationships, for example, or in multiple situations at work, or whatever the context is, it might be worth reflecting on that, journaling, or even considering therapy, just so that you become more in tune with your own responses to situations and why you might respond that way, especially if it negatively affects how you feel and your mood on a daily basis. So I think it's just worth remembering that all relationships aren't the same, and that we definitely bring baggage from previous relationships into current relationships, and it's worth just being cognizant of that fact so that we can deal with our emotions rationally rather than automatically assuming the worst and sort of mistrusting our partners. So the next time you feel overcome by jealousy, don't send that nasty message, don't make that dramatic phone call, don't post something emo on Instagram or punch someone or get your hair cut or make any life-altering decision in the heat of the moment. It's really not a good time to act on impulse. Instead, there's some very practical things that you can do to make it easier to just sort of calm down and overcome that immediate excessive emotion. I highly recommend always when you ever feel any intense emotions, go for a run or go work out with your favorite music on. It's a really productive way to just like calm your system down. And then also a hot shower, again, just sort of, you know, music is a great way to immediately alter your mood. So listening to sort of calming or just happy music can make a huge difference. And giving yourself that time, you know, just telling yourself, no, don't respond immediately. There is no need to immediately act on how you're feeling. Give yourself a little time. It makes such a difference. Sleep on it. People do some really horrible things that they would never do normally when they're overcome with emotion. So it's really important to use that self-control and sort of ability to introspect that as human beings we're all gifted with. You know, don't forget that you have a brain, you have self-control, you have the capacity for introspection. You do not have to act on impulse. And I think with jealousy, it's really important to just remember that. And if I had to put a positive spin on jealousy, I think we can actually learn something from what makes us jealous, because in a way it's a sort of indicator to ourselves about what we fear, what we wish we had, and where we wish we could be. So in a way, we can use feelings of jealousy as an opportunity to step it up in our lives, whether that's emotionally or financially or professionally or educationally. You know, whatever it is that makes us jealous can sort of be a clue that lets us get to know ourselves better, as well as what we fear and what we want. So, for example, if you are jealous of a friend's professional accomplishments, maybe it's a good time for you to take on a challenging and exciting project and increase your own responsibilities at work so that you can take more pride in what you're doing rather than feel slighted by or inadequate because of another person's accomplishments. Or if your partner has a lot of friends and is always going out, maybe you can invest in your own friendships a bit more and have a slightly more active social life yourself. So again, you don't feel left out or insecure, you know? So these are things that we can do, I think, to sort of channel that feeling of jealousy into something positive that improves our lives. You step up instead of trying to put other people down. That's at least been my approach, and I think it is really quite a productive way to channel what is a very normal feeling, but that can often provoke us to respond in an unhealthy or negative way, right? That's what jealousy is after all. And of course, as I also talked about earlier, just a little reminder that if there is good reason for you to be jealous, always talk about it with your partner. There's no point burying those feelings. It's really helpful to have an open and sort of trusting line of communication with your partner or with your friend or whoever it is that makes you feel this way. I think addressing the feeling rather than pretending you don't feel that way is definitely the first step to overcoming it. I hope you liked this video. I hope it was helpful since you guys requested it. I hope that it answers some of your questions, and keep sending me questions. I love hearing from you. Please follow me on Instagram, and also please like, share, and subscribe. As always, I'll see you next time.